Welcome back, students. After seeing the video of the 11th cranial nerve, the accessory, this is the last cranial nerve in the series called as the 12th cranial nerve or the hypoglossal nerve. Okay. Now this cranial nerve, similar to that of the 11th cranial nerve, is also motor nerve. Okay. So the 12th hypoglossal nerve is a motor nerve. It supplies only the skeletal muscle fibers. Okay, skeletal muscle fiber. And it is motor to all the muscles of tongue because it's only going to the tongue where it has to supply. Okay, so it is motor to the muscles of the tongue except one muscle in the tongue which is called as the palatoglossus. Okay, palatoglossus. This muscle is not supplied by that of the this 12th cranial nerve or hypoglossal. The rest of the muscle, both extrinsic and intrinsic. Now there are some muscle, intrinsic muscle in the tongue which don't have any skeletal attachment, though they are skeletal or voluntary muscle. Then there are the muscles which attacks origin from the bone, but then ultimately they are inserting into the tongue. Okay, not body but mostly to the mucosa. Okay, of the tongue. Okay, or into the connective tissue septa of the tongue they are inserting. So that insertion is not the body, it is always muscular, whether it is extrinsic muscle or that of the intrinsic muscle. Okay, after this brief introduction of the hypoglossal nerve, let us come to the first point, and it is attachment to brain and its course. Okay, first we will see where this nerve is attached. Okay, this nerve is attached to the anterolateral sulcus between pyramid and olive. Let me show you in this diagram. This is the pons and this is the medulla, and here you are seeing the pyramid. This is the pyramid and this is the olive, and this is that anterolateral sulcus. So this nerve is attached to the anterolateral sulcus. The previous three nerves, that is the glossopharyngeal, vagus and accessory 9th, 10th, 11th, they were attached on posterolateral sulcus, which was between the olive and the inferior cerebellar peduncle. But here this is the anterolateral sulcus where the single cranial nerve, the 12th cranial nerve, is attached. And this takes origin by 12 to 15 rootlets. Okay, I have shown you the few, but there are 12 to 15 rootlets which soon unite to form a single trunk. Okay, and then this now goes towards the hypoglossal canal. Okay, which is just above the margin of the foramina magnum. Okay, located anteriorly, and the direction is anterolateral above the condyle. Okay, so this will go to the hypoglossal canal. Okay, run through the hypoglossal canal. Okay, and then through the at the base of the skull it will come out through the hypoglossal canal. Okay, now this hypoglossal nerves, first it will lay behind the glossopharyngeal, vagus and accessory nerve because they are anterior to that. Okay, so it is behind the glossopharyngeal 9th, 10th and 11th accessory nerve at the base of the skull. Okay, at the base of the skull. Now then, this is soon joined by the branch from C1 ventral ramus. Okay, this nerve will be soon joined by the branch from C1 ventral ramus. Let us see here. In this diagram, this is just a theoretical diagram, and this is the hypoglossal nerve soon after coming out from the hypoglossal canal at the base of the skull. This is C1, C2, C3 ventral ramus, okay, of the spinal nerve, and from C1 a branch will come and this will be joined, so that the hypoglossal nerve will be joining by that of a branch from the C1. Okay, that is from the ventral ramus of the cervical 1 spinal nerve. Okay, so coming out from the spinal cord, C1 segment, and then this nerve C1 and hypoglossal nerve, they will run together, they are united here. But again note that similar to that of the cranial and the spinal accessory nerve, there will be no mixture of fibers. The fibers of C1 they will run separately and they will not mix with that of the fibers of hypo, though they are running closely. So they are running covered by a same epineurial sheath. That means that in the same connective tissue sheath they are united, but there is no mixture of the fiber, and that's the reason why I have just drawn these fibers in two different color. Hypoglossal is in yellow and this is in the colored, okay. And these fibers of C1 then will be supplying to that of the many muscles, as we will see just now, okay. But then you should note that these fibers which are supplying to this genioid thyroid muscle is not coming from the fibers of the hypoglossal now. They are the actual fibers of the C1, okay, C1 ventral rami. Okay, so soon as it is joined by the branch from C1 ventral rami, the nerve now lies between the internal carotid artery and the internal jugular vein. See in this diagram. After this joining of the C1, then the nerve will run downwards between the internal jugular vein and the internal jugular vein and that of the internal carotid artery. These two are structure which are in carotid sheath. Okay, so this nerve will ride between the two, but behind the carotid sheath. Okay, behind, not within the carotid sheath. Right. So then the nerve then will lie deep to the styloid muscle. Okay, deep to the styloid. You can see this is the styloid process here. From the tip of this, many structures are taking origin. This is the styloglossus muscle which is going to the tongue. This is the styloid muscle, and this green color band of the fibrous tissue is the styloid ligament. So this is styloid ligament and the styloid muscle is here, okay. So this nerve will be then crossed by this structure. That means nerve will lie deep to the styloid and this deep to that of the styloid ligament, both muscle and ligament. Just before that, there will be the presence of another muscle here, that is the posterior belly of the digastric. I have not drawn it, otherwise it would have masked many important structure like lingual artery and that of the nerve itself. So that is the reason why I have not, but you imagine that here is the posterior belly of the digastric, okay, that will lie superficial to this now, okay. So that is the posterior belly of the digastric. Now at the lower border of the digastric muscle, which will be here, the nerve then will curve forward and cross the internal and external carotid artery. At this, here will be the lower border of the digastric muscle, which will also be crossing to these two branches, that is the internal and external carotid artery will be deep to that of the this digastric posterior belly, and just at the lower border of the digastric, which is not drawn here, this nerve will curve, okay. That means the hypoglossal 12th cranial nerve will curve here, okay. It will cross the both the artery, internal and external carotid artery, and then the loop of this artery, that is the loop of the lingual artery. See this, which is arising from the external carotid, it forms a loop, and this loop will be also crossed by the hypoglossal nerve, okay. Now then this nerve will lie, after crossing this loop, the nerve will lie onto the superficial to that of the hypoglossus muscle. You can see this taking origin from the hide bone, okay, greater cornua and body. This is the hypoglossus muscle, which is going towards the lateral border of the tongue, okay, to lateral border of the tongue, deep to the styloglossus muscle, okay. Now then this nerve will run after the hypoglossus muscle, this run upwards and forwards to enter the substance of the tongue. And the substance of the tongue here will be made by the intrinsic and extrinsic muscle. This is the genioglossus. Fan-shaped muscle is the genioglossus, on which these terminal branches will lie. This muscle between this mandible and the hide bone is the genioid, and this is the genioglossus, okay. So all these and then down below the hyoid, this is another muscle, thyroid. So thyroid will be supplied by, as well the geniohyoid will be supplied by the branches as if they are coming from the hypoglossal or 12th cranial nerve, but actually these are the fibers from C1. The rest of the muscles, okay, here will be supplied by the hyoglossus, including this muscle, that is the hyoglossus, genioglossus, okay, and these muscles, they will be styloglossus muscle, they all will be supplied by that of the hypoglossal nerve, okay, hypoglossal nerve. Right, then let us, after learning this course of the hypoglossal now, right from that of the hypoglossal canal to that of the terminal branches on the genioglossus muscle, okay, on the undersurface or in the substance of the tongue. Let us come to see the branches, okay, again, I will tell you the branches. Branches from actual hypoglossal nerve proper, okay, actual, there you can see first, and then we will see it in this diagram, okay, from the branches. Let us see branches from hypoglossal nerve, they which are coming from the proper hypoglossal, they will supply to both kind of the muscles of tongue, extrinsic muscle which I have explained, okay, and the intrinsic. Extrinsic, one end of each attached to the bone, while intrinsic are limited within the mass of the tongue, so they have no bony attachment, okay. They are longitudinal, horizontal, vertical muscles, like that muscles, okay. And except one muscle of the tongue, that is palatoglossal, which I have already told you, all the muscles of the tongue will be supplied by this hypoglossal nerve proper, that is the 12th cranial nerve, okay. And now this muscle which is not supplied by that of the hypoglossal, that was palatoglossal, and this palatoglossal will be supplied by the cranial root of accessory through the pharyngeal plexus. I said that through the, along with the vagus nerve, which will form the pharyngeal plexus, and from pharyngeal plexus this nerve palatoglossal will be supplied, okay. And it is said that this palatoglossal is, the fibers supplying to the palatoglossal are actually coming from this cranial root of the accessory or 11th nerve, but we are not sure, it may be from vagus also, right, okay. Then the fibers which are the branches through its communication with C1, okay. Let us see here, this was the C1 and it was communicating with the hypoglossal nerve, and these branches were coming out and it was looking as if they are coming from the hypoglossal nerve. So this is a communication, and this communication of C1 will supply to the two muscles here, that is the genioglossus and the thyroid, geniohyoid and the thyroid. Let us see in the diagram. This muscle from genial tubercle to the hyoid bone is the geniohyoid muscle, and this is muscle from the thyroid cartilage to the hyoid bone is the thyroid muscle, okay, thyroid. These two muscles are supplied by the C1, they are supplied by the C1. But then before this goes branches to geniohyoid and thyroid, this branch will come down, a branch will arise which will go down, okay, and this is called as the superior root of the ansa cervicalis, okay, superior root of the, so there are three branches in such: superior root of the ansa cervicalis, then two branches to the geniohyoid and the thyroid, geniohyoid and to that of the thyroid. Now it will also gives a meningeal branch, okay, this, which one? This hypoglossal nerve, it will appear as if it is coming, but this meningeal branch which goes to that of the dura mater, okay, it appears as if it is coming, but it goes to the dura mater of the posterior cranial fossa. So this is the fourth branch, meningeal, coming from the C1 communication, okay. So I will just write here meningeal branch of the C1, okay, meningeal, but it looks as if it is taking origin from the hypoglossal nerve. but some books will maintain all these branches as the branches of the hypoglossal nerve. I hope that you have understood these two diagrams and the distribution of the this I mean to say hypoglossal nerve or the 12th cranial nerve. Okay, 12th cranial with the help of these two diagrams. So just draw these two diagrams and then note down. Now let's come to the functional component. As I said in the beginning that the 12th cranial nerve or hypoglossal is a motor nerve. Pure motor nerve supplying to the muscles of the skeletal muscle, thus they are voluntary muscles. Okay, and though the fibers are coming from the hypoglossal nucleus which are situated in the brain stem. Okay, but this is classified as general somatic efferent. It is classified as general somatic efferent. Okay, and these muscles are not derived from that of the brachial arches. Okay, to which the nucleus ambiguous was the motor nucleus. Okay, this is a separate nucleus that was the general, I'm saying spatial visceral efferent. This is the general somatic efferent fibers, and they will supply to the muscles of the tongue. So that is only one component, and it is the somatic component, motor component, hence called as the somatic efferent or the general somatic efferent. There is no sensory component, but it is believed that the sensory component from the muscles of the tongue which carry the proprioceptive sensation, it goes along with that of the trigeminal nerve, that is through the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve that carries the sensation from the tongue muscles and the muscles of other muscles also along with it. Now let's come to lastly to the applied anatomy of this hypoglossal nerve. And you can very well just judge that if the nerve is paralyzed or cut, okay, there will be the paralysis of the muscles of the tongue on one side. So in case of injury to hypoglossal nerve, all the muscles of tongue except which one? Palatoglossus are paralyzed on the same side. Okay, and when you will ask the patient to protrude the tongue, okay, you just ask that you just protrude your tongue, okay, the tongue will deviate to the site of injury. Okay, on which side the paralysis is there, to tongue will go on to that side. In a similar way, where we have seen in the spinal accessory nerve or 11th cranial nerve paralysis, if sternocleidomastoid is paralyzed, says far on right side, your face will also turn on the right side because the left sternocleidomastoid will have an unopposed action and its contraction will turn the face towards the opposite side. So in the similar way, the tongue will deviate to the on the side of the injury. Okay, and this is also have the same region because the opposite muscles of the half of the tongue there will have unopposed action. Okay, and especially the genioglossus, which takes origin from the upper genial tubercle on the posterior aspect of the which is central part or symphysis mantis. There are tubercles. So this genioglossus muscle on healthy side will contract, and because of this contraction on the healthy side, tongue will deviate towards the paralyzed side. Okay, so this is the applied importance of the hypoglossal nerve. Thank you very much for watching this video.